Hello, good people. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Vaughn or Car Conversations, depending upon whether or not you can see my face or you can just hear my voice. But welcome to you all. Welcome to all subscribers. I am so grateful for you being here with me. So things just went from bad to worse because there is currently an attack on our freedom of speech. This situation is bigger than Kirk and Kimmel. It is about everyone collectively being able to exercise their First Amendment right to the freedom of speech. This is also an attack on the freedom of press. And let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So this week, what you saw or what we all witnessed was a situation where ABC is trying to complete a merger with another company. So there's a merger that's trying to happen, right? And then you had also Felon 47 get offended by basically Jimmy Kimmel played a clip of Felon 47's reaction to a reporter asking him, hey, you okay? I know that you and Kirk were close, etc. And then, Felon 47 just says, yeah, sure. Hey, and look, you see these trucks over here? This is all about my ballroom that I'm building. Like he literally just took I don't know, even half a beat, if it was even half a beat, and pivoted to the ballroom. So Kimmel included that clip in his opening monologue. And yes, he was talking about Kirk, but not in a negative way, in my opinion. I believe that, most strong men have very thin skin. Okay. And the felon in the White House has very thin skin. He doesn't like anybody talking about him. I think he's more sensitive right now because people have been talking about his health, been talking about his hand, been talking about his cankles, been talking about how, he's fallen asleep everywhere. And so I think he's a little more sensitive right now. So Kimmel included this in this clip in his monologue, opening monologue, right? And then so what you need to know about the FCC. So the FCC is being led right now by Brendan Carr. Brendan Carr is a member of the Heritage Foundation. Brendan Carr wrote the section in Project 2025 that I preached to you all about all last year. He wrote that section in regards to the FCC. And now he's leading the FCC. Okay. So Brendan Carr says, well, and I don't know what kind of conversations might have transpired backdoor or behind the scenes, but I do know that Felon 47 was offended by what Kimmel has said about him for years, actually. This is not the first time. And I also know that this merger was supposed to happen. So then you have the FCC dude, Brendan Carr, going, I forgot what news outlet he was on, but he just made the statement that, this can go easy or it can go bad or something. It could be easy or it could be harder, something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing for this merger to happen. Okay, so sending the signal out there that, if you do something, it can make life easier for you. I can make life easier for you. I can make this merger easier for you. But if you don't handle a situation, then, it could be a little more difficult. Brendan Carr over the FCC does not have the power to fire Kimmel, but ABC does. And that's what happened. Actually, technically, I don't believe that he's completely fired. I believe they're calling it a suspension at this moment. But that's what transpired. So you had Felon 47 get upset about something, and then the FCC dude, knowing that he's, this merger, they're working on this merger, which has to be, go through proper channels and has to be discussed. And I think ultimately there has to be conversations with the felon, okay, about this. The FCC would approve the merger. But the SEC could not fire Kimmel. Only ABC could do that. And that's what ABC did. Bob Iger over at ABC. So that is why the ire is with Disney right now. Disney and all its affiliates. That's why you're seeing millions of people cancel Disney cruises, cancel season passes, cancel subscriptions to Disney, Hulu, ESPN. All of ABC, Disney, and Disney affiliates, people are getting rid of, not necessarily in total support of Kimmel. It's about freedom of speech. Because, so is everybody going to get fired because the felon gets offended, or whenever the felon gets offended? Is that what we're doing now? Because then that stifles freedom of speech. That censors folks. Okay. So that's what's going down right now. Also, we heard today coming out of the Pentagon with the DUI hire over there, Pete Hegseth. They have said that the press corps, get this, the press corps has to sign some agreement that they will not release any information that has not been previously approved by the Pentagon. And if they don't sign this agreement, then they will lose their credentials. So basically stripping the press of access to the Pentagon and all the Pentagon's information, if they do not agree to sign this agreement, that they aren't going to release any information that hasn't been pre-approved by Pete Hegseth. Again, that is censoring. The First Amendment deals with the freedom of press, not only the freedom of expression for us, for anybody, freedom of speech, but also the freedom of the press. And here's my answer to that situation. To that situation, I would say, sign the agreement, sign this oath, sign this agreement, whatever it's called, sign it, get inside and leak information. And I'm gonna tell you why I say this. Number one, we need people on the inside. This is the only way that we're gonna get the truth. Otherwise, we're just gonna get more propaganda, more lies. That's all we're gonna be fed. So we need people on the inside. But also, this administration continuously, every day, they underestimate the power of social media, the power of independent journalists, and the power of content creators. Every single day. The felon lives in like the 1960s, first of all. The people around him, I don't know, it's like they don't understand how when they say something one time, it's out there forever. It's like they're not making this connection. So if it were me, I would sign the doggone thing, get on the inside, get the information. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ask all my questions. And then the other little tidbits that I can pick up, slide that to somebody else, slide it to about 10 different people, 10, 20 different people, so they don't know where it really came from. And yeah, do it that way. Because we, the people, need somebody on the inside that's going to be able to get us the truth. Okay? Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stifle the truth. Also, in my opinion, they're trying to consolidate power as quickly as possible. They are fast tracking the consolidation of power. And let me explain what I'm saying and how this is tied into the freedom of speech. So I think, I don't know if it's even been 10 days since Kirk was murdered. I don't know. I think it's been about 10 days. But what you have seen is them move the needle from, it was the immediate response was, oh, this is somebody on the left, and let's, we're going to have a war. We're going to go to war. They're going to war with us. Then they made him into a martyr. Now he's in AI, in churches, and people are standing up applauding. You had some priest on Fox talking about this, trying to make him a saint. They went from, in MAGA, they went from war against all people on the left, to making him a martyr, to now, the Pope, not the Pope. I think this is the person that the far right wanted to be the Pope, whomever this priest was. This dude is trying to make Kirk out to be some sort of saint. And then, today, I think tomorrow is actually the memorial for him. And you had this week, I saw this young lady, she's in Oklahoma, I believe. She said that they were trying to make her child participate in a moment of silence and prayer for Kirk. What? Like, this person that we are talking about, I'm not even going to get into the stuff that he espoused. Let me just say this. His success came from a 72-year-old millionaire to billionaire, who decided this junior college, community college dropout, because of the rhetoric he was espousing then, would be a good person to mentor, to send out there to indoctrinate and bring more young people into the right, the arm of the right, into MAGA. And so they gave this man money, gave him money. It wasn't like he built this company from the ground on his own. He was receiving a salary of $400,000 a year, I believe, worth $12 million upon his untimely death. And now he's a saint. He has said horrible things, horrific things about women, about Black women especially, about trans people, about wanting to go out and watch public executions, like bringing that back and selling Coca-Cola. Like, he has said the most horrific things about almost all groups of people, with the exception of white, cisgender, Christian men. So they're using, in my opinion, they are using his passing, his death, to try to fast track this consolidation of power. And here's where you really need to lean in, MAGA. This is for you. The reason I believe they are fast tracking this consolidation of power, where they're trying to use him and his death to, like, oh, you can't say that person can't say that. Like, we literally had the dude on Fox and Friends, Kill Me, on air say that, we should just unalive unhoused people. He's still on Fox. He's still on Fox and Friends. Nothing happened to this dude. The other blonde chick that's on there, just yesterday, she congratulated the ICE people for throwing a person who's running for the House of Representatives down to the ground. It's like, oh, good job. Can't think of her name. I can't even stand to really look at her. All these people on the right saying these horrific things, but the people that are Democrats are getting fired. Like, so back to my original point. They're using his death and trying to say, oh, cherry pick who can say what and when. And it's to cut you out. It's to cut you out, MAGA. Because I believe, this is my opinion, when your dear leader went missing for 4 or 5 days and everybody was like, oh, he hasn't been on camera, and y'all know a narcissist loves a camera. Hadn't been on camera for 4 or 5 days, what's going on? And then he reappears, but we've seen some things. We've seen him not be able to walk in a straight line. We've seen his thought process go from over here to over there. We saw on the 9/11, he and Melania attended the service or the ceremony, and he's sitting there slumped over, I think going in and out of sleep, but also his mouth looks a little crooked. I believe during those 4 or 5 days, the hand thing, you know, they still haven't fully explained the hand and the swelling of the ankles. I believe that they know his time is almost up. It's almost time for him to take the big sleep. So they are trying to fast track this consolidation of power so they don't need you anymore, MAGA. The Heritage Foundation used you through him to get in, and they want to take total control. And they don't necessarily, they see you as foot soldiers. I guess that's the best way I can put it. If they need some hostility, if they need to incite some violence, that's what you're there for. That's what you have been there for. And they tried that the day of and the day after Kirk passed away, and it flopped. Well, it didn't totally flop, and I'm going to talk about that in a different video. But you know, they were trying to gin everybody up, rile you all up, and it didn't go to the levels that they wanted it to go. I remember I told you the last video about Epstein, they really wanted to get MAGA back on message. You were getting too far off message. You were too far focused on Epstein. And then this thing happens, this mysterious thing happens to Kirk. I'm going to talk about that in another video. Not my theory necessarily, but what I'm kind of leaning into, which, you know, I don't agree with Candace Owens often, but on this one, so they got to fast track the consolidation of power, because once Felon 47 takes the big sleep, they want to put Vance in, and they want to continue to move with their Project 2025 agenda. And at the same time, remember, they are stripping everyone of life-sustaining resources. So no job, no income coming in. Farms are messed up. They're buying up all the farms that are foreclosing. When I say buying up, like JD Vance, for example, has a stock in a company that's buying up all the foreclosed farms. They, you know, so that messes with your food supply. You won't have insurance anymore. All these things are happening. This culmination of things are happening at the same time. And then they know that Vance isn't as charismatic as your dear leader, and they don't feel like you're going to follow him like you do Felon 47. So they got to make sure that they have all the power that they can get before he takes the big sleep. They have to have all that under the belt before they make this transition and change in that lead position in the Oval Office. Is given North Korea around here, is given Russia around here. Turning Point also seized on the opportunity to start sending out emails to young people, to start sending out, asking for contributions to a lot of folks on the right, and especially to young people. They are gearing up a civic engagement, a civics program to be implemented in schools. I don't know if it's just going to be the charter and the Christian schools, or I'm quite sure they're going to try to do public schools as well, since they've taken over the Department of Education, or gutted the Department of Education. But between Turning Point, PragerU, and one other entity, they're putting together some civic engagement education for young people, which I am quite sure is just going to be another blend of whitewashing and indoctrination to the right in the white Christian nationalist ways. So it started with Felon 47 being fed up with Kimmel's jokes. That's where it started, about him. He didn't care about Kirk. I don't know what y'all thinking, but he didn't care about Kirk. Examples: the clip that Kimmel used from him pivoting so quickly about, from Kirk's death to his ballroom. And then also that same night, I told you he went to a Yankees game and he was doing all the fist pumping. And then also he skipped a vigil for Kirk. So how do you love this person like they're your son? I know he's not great with his own kids, but how do you love this person like they're your son and you don't show up for him and you don't even want to talk about him and you go to the Yankees game and you're celebrating the same day? Like, so now Felon 47 is saying that, nobody, no news outlet, no comedian, no one on television is able to or should be able to say anything disparaging about him or hurt his feelings, because they are licensed and the FCC should be able to take their license. The FCC cannot fire folks. Those NBC, ABC, CBS, whomever, they are responsible for hiring and firing talent. But this individual is saying, if somebody out there hurts my feelings, I want you to strip the whole network of their licensing because they hurt my feelings. So what can we do? What can we do? Well, let me tell you this. What has already started? What has already started is you have millions of people who are dumping Disney. They're dumping Disney. They're boycotting Disney. They're canceling cruises. They are, getting rid of all the subscriptions of all the Disney affiliates, ESPN, Hulu, Disney Plus, Disney. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Hold on. Let me give you some of the others, because you just might be subscribing to them. And we need you to dump them all. Dump all the Disney. Pixar films, Marvel films, Blue Sky, Lucasfilms, Disneyland resorts, Disney World, cancel those trips. Or, push them far out to where, let's see where this thing goes. He also threatened to come after Disney Music Group. He also threatened to go after Seth, Jimmy Fallon, and also The View. So anybody that says anything negative about him, that hurts his little feelings, that bruises his little ego, the strong man, the YMCA dude. He wants them to be fired, and he wants for Brandon Carr to actually get rid of the licensing for that network. And that's crazy. That's crazy. But just remember, at the end of the day, why you should care, why you should participate in this boycott is because it is bigger than Kimmel. It is bigger than Kirk. It is about your constitutional right to the freedom of speech. And we keep seeing this, and I keep saying it. Every time you let them take an inch, every time we capitulate, any corporation capitulates to them, any university capitulates to them, anybody in Congress capitulates to him, they move the needle forward. You give them an inch and they take a mile, and we've got to stop it right now. And it has to stop with our freedom of speech, because next, everybody will be getting fired. Next, everyone will be getting arrested. And they're going to go after protesters Again, freedom of speech. Any area where there's freedom of speech, that is going to be a target area. And especially if you have bruised the little felon's ego. And at the end of the day, this is the last thing I want to say to you. I heard a term, and I think it's so appropriate for what they are doing in regards to Kirk, and it's death grifting. These people are grifting off of his death. And that's why I don't fully believe the narrative they are feeding us in regards to how it happened. And I'm going to save that for another video. But remember, dump Disney. Dump Disney, all of its affiliates. Hey, pull out the DVD player and watch some shit that you bought years ago. If the kids are, upset, they want to watch their cartoons or movie, pull out the DVD player. It's time for that.